call to order. Adoption of agenda, 2.1 recommendation.
That council adopt the agenda.
Second. Discussion. All in favor? Adoption of minutes, 3.1 recommendation. That council adopt the minutes for the regular council meeting held on October 20th, 2021.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Introduction of late items.
Your worship? Yeah, on the late item front, can I add a late item for council's consideration regarding Canada Day? The grant deadline is coming up and we're unsure what council might want us to do for Canada Day.
And then the other one was I wanted to bring to council the crosswalks.
Didn't you send out an email?
Can I get a motion for that?
I'll put a motion on the floor to introduce that late item.
Second.
All in favor? So, public hearing none, delegations none, unfinished business arising from the minutes. New business 8.1 recommendation.
That council adopt the 2022 schedule of council meetings as presented.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? 8.2 recommendation. The council cancels the first council meeting of 2022 that was scheduled to be held on January 5th, 2022.
Second.
Discussion?
That's fine with me.
All in favor? 8.3.
That council approved budget for the annual house light up contest and choose a date for the judging.
Second.
Discussion? So what are we giving them? Same as last year?
Yeah.
Right?
I've done it for the last 3 years.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if Daniel.
Do what, sorry? Choose the date for you're wanting me to be judging.
Go for the
I
little drive.
I would
I
love
think you and
to.
Marcel should take a little drive.
I'll second I think we can take the kids.
And Sandy, do we have,
It has to be before the council meeting.
who we've, what houses that we've chosen before?
I'm sure we can dig that up, yes.
Yeah, so then they'll,
I think I probably still have it on my phone, even though they were wrong.
it would be awesome, thank you.
So,
I would, my kids will love that, because we drive around automatically anyway, so.
So we make a motion for Marcel and Danny to do the run.
who wants to second that?
I will.
All in favor?
What date would you like to do? So we have to advertise
Yeah.
it.
So it starts, when would be the start date? Kind of as soon as possible, and then go till,
So just so the judging's done before the 15th of December. So
council
anytime
meeting.
from, because we like to give the prize, so they have time to use
could
it.
we go to the Sunday the 12th?
Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
give people enough time to get everything done, life's busy.
Do you know which day the judging will be though? Or are you gonna do it that day?
I'll do it that day.
That day, okay.
So all in favor for the date? So we have 8.4 Canada Day. Chris?
Yep, thanks, Your Worship. Maybe a little bit redundant or a moot point here, but yeah, we did hear from the grant writer, the Canada Day grant deadline's coming up, but the irony of it is that under the current COVID guidelines, we pretty much can't hold Canada Day anyways. So I'm wondering if council maybe wants us to apply just as a precaution, but it's looking unlikely we'll be able to do much for
How much is
Canada.
grant?
About $5,000 depending on what they give us, but
I think we should just apply. We can always just give it back.
Well, yeah, we could.
That's what we've done in the last few
Yeah.
years.
So, just in case. The one thing though, as in previous years, I mean, depending on what we do with Canada Day, and the corporate officer and I were talking about this just this week, you know, with the build-in or the lead-in to it, we do need some time, so we pretty much gotta know by middle of March at the latest if we're gonna be doing Canada Day, to give us time to organize all the logistics for that stuff. I mean, typically when we're running Canada Day,
We can have a rally, just not a parade. Then we cover all the guidelines.
perhaps the opposite, Your Worship. We were actually talking internally that maybe a parade could still happen, because if we did it with just floats, then each float is technically in its own little bubble. That might actually be okay. So it's, I think at this point, it's really unlikely we're gonna be able to do the big, everybody, you know, we're at McNabb Park celebration in any form, but if council wants us to try and put on some modified Canada Day festivities this year, then pass a motion to that effect, and we can put our heads together and see what we can come up with in the meantime.
Right now, we just want to apply for the grant.
Yeah.
What?
The Canada Day originally was in support of Poughkeepsie Hospital. And a foundation existed for that. And then that flood came a few years ago, and the village took on that cost. And do we use taxpayer dollars to host a party?
Well, didn't we send a letter out?
Mhm.
And what was the reply back on those letters?
The majority of them were to continue with the festivities. I can dig them up and produce a report for November 17th, if you like.
I won't be here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I still have the surveys.
Chris?
Yeah, you're not wrong though, Councillor. Canada Day is, there's no offsetting revenue for the most part. We get a little bit of grants and, you know, some corporate sponsors here and there to a small extent, but for the most part, it's a net expense to the village that comes out of general revenue.
Well, they might come up with some different grants to start up in communities again, so we can always keep an eye on those.
And we did get a generous one from the province this year, Your Worship, to the, sorry, from the feds.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so.
I would like to see the public,
Attend.
well,
The
at
public
least step in
participate
and do
volunteer.
something for this.
So with the current grant, you're saying it's around 5,000. How much does Canada Day normally cost?
45 to 50,000.
About 45 to 50,000, and we could only get potentially up to 5,000.
And even that one, Councillor Beach, according to the folks that administer that grant, was quite generous for a community of our size, because we were able to make the case that our Canada Day was actually regional. And I recall in one conversation there that they had said ours wasn't too far off what the city of Edmonton got, because we had made the case that it was for a, you know, a regional.
But if we need support from the regional district, I'm sure Barb could take that to them and get that happening.
Well, perhaps, Your Worship, and there's a lot of discussions that are happening these days amongst the various peace municipalities for partnering for different things. Maybe this is one of those areas where, we go seek some partnering opportunities with the neighboring municipalities.
Yeah.
You know,
That'd be good.
we estimate there's maybe 3,000 people to 3,500 that come through Canada Day every year. Village of Poughkeepsie's 792 residents according to the 2016 census, so we can reasonably assume that more than 2/3 of the attendees are not village residents.
I mean, they come after us for money all the time, why can't we go after them? Barb?
I would like to make a motion then that, the staff draft a letter to send to the regional district. And on behalf of the village, but,
Surrounding areas.
Yeah, it would cover, like the Peace River Regional District and surrounding municipalities, just.
when should we know about grants?
Won't be Fort St. John, because Fort St. John holds their own Canada Day, so it won't be Fort St. John or Taylor.
The deadline to apply for this grant is November 22nd.
Why do we always know about it so late?
Because they don't get the emails till it's too late, so we don't apply. That's how they operate.
We've never missed the Canada Day grant, Your Worship.
No, I know, but the government seems to always send emails out when their grants are available. In a 3-day notice, we had the issue with the fire hall. You've had issues getting grants, so they're always late.
So should we make a motion that we go ahead and apply for a grant and go from there?
I made that motion, that we would apply for the grant.
Okay, we have 2 motions on the floor right now.
I second Lorraine's motion to apply for the grant.
And then we have the motion from Councillor Smith regarding draft letter to the PRD for the surrounding areas.
Okay, well, we'll do the, all in favor for the first motion,
The grant?
grant?
Okay, and I need a
And then we'll need a
second
seconder for the second motion.
for, okay,
Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
thank you.
So 8.5 crosswalk. I'm sure you guys heard about this crosswalk. I sent an email to Blair and got some information on some crosswalks because they did road assessments in Dawson Creek. And quite a few of their areas of Dawson Creek have crosswalks. Down 17th Street, down, or up 8th Street, quite a few of them. And they're $77,000 each is roughly what Dawson Creek paid for it. And with the crosswalk at the school and a crosswalk here, I'm thinking that we should lobby the Ministry of Transportation to help us, because the last time we did a study was in 2017, road study. Chris, did you send that out to the council, that road study?
No, it was sent out to the council today. If you'd like, Your Worship, I can.
Yeah, I'd like you to send it out to Danny and Marcel so that they are aware of the study. The traffic has been a lot more since that 2017. And it takes me at least 5 minutes in the morning to get out. You've been behind me. There's lots of traffic, lots of big trucks. And I'm thinking that we need a light up crosswalk for the dark highway, because it's dark down there. I've asked Ministry of Transportation to change the lighting down there so that it makes it more visible. They haven't got back to me on that, but that was in the spring when they did that. And now I'm asking for council to help me lobby for the crosswalk. Can I get a seconder?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Well, first of all, we need to get permission from the Ministry of Highways.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to do is lobby through that. Danielle?
Is there like any funds we could apply for to help cover the cost of putting in a crosswalk, or is it all kind of on our municipality to pay?
No, it's highways. It's highway, highway.
Okay.
So, because they won't do another study, because the study was 2017, now we have to lobby them
Okay.
to put it in, pay for it and put it in,
Okay.
because it's $14,000 that the village can't afford. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So yeah, both of you are correct to that. The cost should technically be borne by the Ministry of Transportation. Now, having said that, if it's something that council feels strongly about, similar to the partnering we've done with the elementary school in the past or another provincial facility, council can support the cost of the units, and then perhaps your lobbying to the Ministry of Transportation is, we'll buy it, you guys put it in and maintain it, everybody's happy, right? At some point, the ministry, of course, like Councillor Smith mentioned, has to be involved. It's their corridor and stuff.
Yeah.
So would, maybe just for clarification, Your Worship, at this point, if we're talking about lobbying the Ministry of Transportation, could I recommend that we draft a letter to the ministry asking to set up a meeting between them and you guys, perhaps by Zoom in this day and age, and then council could make the
Minister?
case, yeah, that you'd like to have the crosswalks upgraded. The
I
one
wanted to
thing
do that at UBCM, but we didn't get to UBCM. so-
I'd recommend this be outside UBCM too. Yeah, it'd be a little bit easier. And the one thing
Because it's a safety concern, that highway is a safety concern.
yeah, and you've mentioned it for years.
Yeah.
For sure, Your Worship. The one thing too with the traffic study is it did comment to about 750 vehicles an hour were coming through Bruce in 2017. The threshold to change the crosswalks was 800. So we're not
I'm
far.
pretty sure we're past that, if not
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Hi, Maureen.
So the kind of lights that you're referring to, are those the pedestrian lights where you push the button and the light comes on? So would we be putting somebody out of a job?
What do you mean? There's people that cross it at night, doesn't need to have a crosswalk person there.
I know, but during school hours.
It helps see for visible. It should not be stopping anybody from being a crosswalk person.
Okay, Chris.
And did the traffic study also commented that the crosswalk attendant, I think they called them, was a volunteer position, but I have not
No,
confirmed that.
it's a
with the
paid
school.
position
I don't
through
know.
the school district.
Okay, because the study listed it as a volunteer position.
No.
Yeah, okay.
So all in favor?
But
You have, oh, sorry.
I would like it stated in the letter that we send to the Minister of Highways that our school district is covering the cost of safe crossing for our kids to get to the school. I want that noted in the letter.
That what?
School district is paying somebody to stand there with a little stop sign and walk them across the highway so they get to school safe.
But we also need the crosswalk and the crossing guard.
What I'm saying today, though, it's
That
the
we
school
do need
district.
somebody.
Yes, we do need somebody, but at this point, the school district is covering that cost, and is that fair?
Yeah.
So imagine the Ministry of Transportation's giving it in tax dollars to pay her wages or his wages. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So for this one, we'll bring a draft letter back to the November 17th meeting and just
You'll
to
have
make
to
sure.
send an email to me.
Okay.
All in favor? And we'll have some designs or something. Chris, can you come up with some designs or a picture of those signs? You had a picture of that one crosswalk. Can you blow that up and give that to council or email it to council so they'll know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Or just, if you're in town, drive down 17th Street or up on 8th Street. All in favor? You said that. 9.1 recommendation, I was pretty excited. 9.1 recommendation that council receives the Peachtree Fire Department report for information.
Second?
Discussion? I'd like to just extend a heartfelt thanks to these guys, their hard work and dedication to the community. Anybody else?
I completely agree, yeah. Yeah, they're a bunch of hardworking guys out there.
And 9.2, that the council received the report from the RCMP.
Second?
Discussion? Does anybody see that they're down, police?
Yes, I think that's, we're
Really
down,
showing stuff.
we're down police, nurses, teachers, educational assistants,
Doctors.
doctors. Like,
But these guys don't have to get the money to hire more staff, and I realize that they have soft vacancies and stuff, but we also need more also lobby in the government to have more police money put in the area. Because we don't have the RCMP to be able to look after the rural areas. It's very vast, and we need to lobby also the RCMP, the ministry, to give Dawson Creek more money. And possibly us if someday we ever build on the fire hall. Chris?
Thanks, Your Worship. Could I maybe recommend a letter on that front? I think given the report, and as you noted, a number of vacancies in there, but reading through the statistics, they're in the red in most cases. I think that's probably a sound justification for council to write a letter to the RCMP to say, well, the statistics are creeping up, folks. Maybe time to look at additional resources or funds in the region.
Funding there for our region.
Yeah.
maybe saying like how much area they cover, really. Because, I think a lot of those places are run out of like Vancouver, Victoria, and they never come up here, as we talked about at the last meeting. They don't come up and see how vast the area is.
But if they have 2 members on staff and they get a call out to Kelly Lake, let's go rob the bank. Right? So it's not a good scenario. Chris?
I know from previous reports from the detachment commander, when he took over as detachment commander, there was notable decreases in stuff, and I recall council today, congratulating him on that work, but
He's struggling,
yeah.
so I think you should do a support letter, please.
Motion to that effect, please, your worship.
Can I have a seconder to my motion to have a letter wrote up for the ministry and the RCMP? Can I get a second? Any more discussion on that? All in favor? And same with Mr. Sam, tell me he's doing a good job. And there's a petition going out around for forestry, because they did a whole bunch of changes today with the forestry, so if you guys happen to see it online, fill it in, because we need forestry.
Is that the old growth thing that's going around?
Yeah. Kelvin, can we, can have the council received the farewell letter from the Poos Scoopy Fire as information. Can we send him a letter thanking him for his years of service and council sign it, please? Can I have a seconder on that? Danielle? All in favor?
I actually just had a question about the letter. I was reading through it, and in the letter he'd mentioned about all the courses and stuff that he had taken that the fire chief had recommended for him. And these courses, now I'm new, I'm still trying to figure out all this fire department stuff. So these courses that are paid for by the fire department?
Out of their budget, yes.
Yeah, and so when these guys are taking all these courses, like, I don't know Calvin's reason for leaving, but like, could they take these courses and then leave with all that training and go get a job?
The certificates are in their name.
Yeah.
And so they don't like owe any kind of commitment to the village if they take all these courses or anything?
It's a years of service. He's been here for.
Yes, yeah, Calvin's been in for like 7-8 years, exactly, yeah. He's
And they don't get paid. They don't get paid, so if the village pays for their courses to protect the community, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was just, it kind of got me thinking, like, if multitudes of them are taking these courses, not really using Calvin, but Calvin kind of got me thinking about it. I was just thinking, okay, well, if they're taking all these, and I understand that it's not paid, could they then take all that training that's been paid for and then use it to go get hired without making any commitment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And yeah, I can confirm, Councillor Beach, that that's a possibility for any role. I mean, I'm aware of municipalities that have supported, staff members for master's degrees, and 6 months later, the staff members moving on to the next bigger town down the road. It's always a risk in the environment. With respect to the training, I do just want to mention one thing as well, that not every piece of training that the fire department members do is taken directly from the fire department budget. The fire department budget typically is used for the required training. So the stuff that the personnel have to have in order to meet the safety and WCD requirements. There is some training that takes place for the members out of the fire association. So the community fundraising that the members do, the various things that they do, right? The boots in the mall and stuff. So sometimes they use that for supplementary training that some of the members want, but isn't necessarily required, and therefore, they don't feel comfortable asking the village to pay for that because it's supplementary training. So,
But a lot of them also paid out of their own pocket too.
some do, yeah, definitely. And some of them have come to the table with training that they've paid for, and the reverse effect has happened, where they are industry professionals and they're coming to us with paramedic and OFA 3 and things of that nature. And we're saying, yes, we'd love to wrap our arms around somebody who's bringing us that stuff. So actually the opposite does happen in some cases too, where they come to us and say, hey, I'm a paramedic, or I'm an OFA 3 out in industry. Do you guys need any volunteers right now? Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to clarify that.
All in favor?
I just want to make a statement that for staff, there is a policy in place regarding education.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you take courses that are paid for by the village, there is a stipulation in there that you repay so many years of service.
Mhm.
And if not, then you get billed for the course. So there is a, for staff.
I also want to make a statement, yes, they don't get paid, but the fire department does receive an honorarium. And that's something they decide what they want to spend their money on, whether it's uniforms, training, whatever. It's their money to do with as they see fit. Which,
Chris?
Yeah, most of those members, Councilor Smith, at least for our fire department, actually give that back to the injured and burn victim fire service members fund. So they do vary. I'm not aware of actually any of them that actually keep it themselves. It's kind of common practice in that industry, and the volunteers, the small honorariums that are paid go to the I think it's a provincial injured member and fallen member and burn member fund. So,
Okay, everybody good? Marlene?
Oh, I'm done with the fire department, but I'm going to go back to 9.8, the speaker.
Council received the invitation to the Civic 2021 Speaker Series. Any information? Okay,
Page 38.
I broke this, I promise, I'm just gonna brush up on it.
And this is on InfoBC, Sandy?
There's an email I received.
Pardon?
This is an email that I received.
No, but the course will be held on Civic Web, or,
I believe there's a Zoom, you have to register for it.
well, I won't be here, so.
I was just wondering if anybody was interested in that.
It's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
What day is it? I think you just sign on. I can forward the email so that everybody has the link.
Do you want to make that motion that everybody gets the email?
Yeah.
Sure. Can I
Make
get a
that
seconder?
motion, everyone gets me now.
I'll
All in
second.
favor? Um, 10 resolutions nil, bylaws nil, 12 administration reports, 5.1 CAO report. First, before you start that, Chris, how come we don't get a CAO report from you every Monday morning?
I can start that practice back up if you'd like, Your Worship, either Fridays or Mondays if council wants to.
Can I have a motion to do that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Can I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. No, sorry, it's up to you. I thought I had something I needed to add there, but sorry, no, it's in the capital and special projects. My apologies, Your Worship. Go ahead.
Action item. So can you tell me why there's two social media policies, problems Facebook posts, and policy 1.1.16 social media, policy 8.1 code of conduct? How come there's two of those? Why isn't it one? Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. We discussed that today there following an email, and those are two separate items done by two separate administrators. So the first one dated September the 1st in pink was a line item by interim CAO Gary Mason. I think presumably following some discussion from council. Most things that are on here are as a result of discussion.
But it says
from
policy
council.
1.6 social media.
Yeah, and so
you guys sent it back to council, So that's the same thing as this one, social media problem Facebook post. It's the same thing.
The social media piece seems to be overlapping in the
Yeah.
two, your worship, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
So can we change that?
at your leisure, your worship, if you'd like to strike the one in pink because it's being addressed by the one on October 10th.
So the one on October 10th, does that code of conduct, does that cover property owners, if they're property owners like council or mayor, have to abide by the bylaws and stuff like that? Is that in there too? Will that be in there?
I'm drawing a blank without having it in front of me, but I mean, property owners, regardless of their affiliation with the village or council, would all be bound by the same bylaws. So I'm not sure that if it's not stated in the code of conduct, we could state it, but it technically goes without saying. I mean, you're a property owner in the village bylaws apply.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to, we are held in high regard. Everybody keeps telling me that, so.
Well, and I mean, bylaws by their very nature are intended to ensure a level playing field for all
Everybody.
property owners, right? So,
I'm very confused about what property has to do with social media. I'm sorry.
No, code of conduct.
Oh,
Code of conduct.
okay.
Does the code of conduct cover property within the village if council owns it?
Oh, like as like holding yourself to that higher standard?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel there's a conversation that I'm not sure if it's going on, but okay.
Chris?
yeah, thanks, worship. Maybe over to Mrs. Stokes. Is there something in the oath of office about obeying village bylaws? Or is there anything about bylaws in the oath of office?
Right?
As you have stated, Mr. Leggett, a level playing field, but we're not all out there on a level playing field as residents in the village of Poughkeepsie.
What do you mean, like as in how we,
How we can manage to keep up with some of the bylaws that we have,
The myriad
In
of bylaws?
place. and only by physical disabilities.
Financial means.
I mean, you've got aging
Yep.
people who cannot possibly do those things, meet our standards. I need to defend.
I still think that's important. Can I get a seconder on that?
Just to clarify, your worship, seconder to remove the one in pink,
Yeah.
referencing social media and Facebook? Yeah, okay.
I'll
Is there-
second that.
sorry, I was thinking if there was a way we could almost combine them. They are basically the same thing. I think just the one in pink specifically states what social media it is in turn talking about. Is there a way we could almost merge those two?
Well, it's gone to the lawyer with the orange one.
Oh, that's why it's ongoing,
You guys are aware of that?
probably.
Yeah, it says consulted with legal counsel.
Yeah,
Oh, that's not meaning that it's good, I believe that means Mr. Mason consulted with legal counsel about a new draft of the social media policy.
And I thought it was sitting at the lawyers. Yeah, I thought he had one drafted up.
Yeah, there was work underway to that effect.
So you guys had to double it again on the 20th.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
so there is a way to sort of,
It,
I don't want to
No.
unwrite anything that's happened on
No.
that date. That's what my concern is that by like scrapping one, we undo or start from the beginning
We'll go
anything.
down to
that-
the code of conduct. We've got that one all in favor.
Oh, Sandy's got that.
And it doesn't get scrapped, it's just that on the next month's
To-do list.
action items, it won't be there.
Okay.
We have a running record of all of them.
Okay.
It's never actually scratched.
but I don't disagree that something titled social media Facebook post would be covered under the 1.16 social media policy. That's
Yeah.
acceptable.
So this was overlooked when
Yeah.
the 20th
Yeah.
agenda was being approved.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm wanting to maybe create like a merge, so. Yeah, I'm not losing any of that, but.
Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. If I could maybe speak to that, then yeah, Councillor Beach, if you wanted to say just in the line item here that, you know, in the description, that Facebook be specifically addressed or something to that effect, then I think that would cover it off.
Facebook post.
It's in the orange?
Yeah, no, I know. No, I am.
It's up to you
I
guys.
do-
It's
Just merge and vote.
it's your action.
Yeah, just merge and
Just
vote.
merge and vote.
Yeah.
And check and make sure that legal counsel, if they've drawn up one, don't drop another one.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Can I get a seconder on that? All in favor? And then the Treaty 8, that one has been on here since May 25th. So what are we to do with this? Have anybody reached out to Treaty 8? Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So, Mrs. Stokes had done quite a bit of work researching that initiative. We weren't able to find concrete Peace Region examples of a similar land acknowledgement at the council level. And at this point, we feel that the best thing that
I
could
think
be
Fort St.
done.
John does it. Fort St. John doesn't do the acknowledgement of Treaty 8.
I reached out to all the Peace Region municipalities. Nobody does it,
Just the regional district.
if that's what they,
Check one? Okay.
Chris?
they don't have a policy to do it. If they do it, they're just doing it on their own at the beginning of the meeting, but there is no policy or bylaw
Oh,
or
okay.
instruction that says they'll do it. Dawson doesn't do it, Fort St. John doesn't do it. If they are doing it, it's a one-of thing, it's not an every meeting.
It's not entrenched in
Yes.
literature or policy somewhere. The other thing we felt in discussing it administratively is that most of the land acknowledgements that appear to happen in BC and elsewhere are directed at a specific band. So we are on the traditional territory of these individuals. What we're fearful of is that doing something that sort of blanket says Treaty 8, we're not sure if that's actually correct. I mean, Treaty 8 at its essence is a document, although there's a Treaty 8 tribal association. But we don't know, you know, so historically those land acknowledgements, because they're done for a specific, you know, group of individuals, we're really unsure, you know, how that should be sound. So I think at this point, the best advice I could offer council on this matter would be to actually draft a letter to the Treaty 8 Tribal Association. And
But
see,
you also got to do Blueberry because Blueberry is not part of the association.
well, perhaps, and see, even those dynamics, Your Worship, I certainly don't understand all of the dynamics at play there, you know. So I think going to the authority and saying, you know, folks, we're interested in doing this. Can, you know, if we do go down this road, can you provide us concrete guidance as to who we are to acknowledge in Puskoopi? You know, and that way we'd ensure we'd get it right the first time.
Doig.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. No, that's
So
it.
can I have a motion for that, for them to continue the homework on that?
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, and we were in a position as staff to reach out to Treaty 8, but that's more of a political initiative, so a letter from council would best serve that, yeah.
Second? Are you speaking?
I just have a question. Yeah, I know for most event things that I've been to, it's normally just an acknowledgement of Treaty 8. They don't specifically reference like the Danaza people or Beaver people, or it just is a acknowledgement of Treaty 8. So I know
Okay.
some acknowledge the land. I think up around here, there is that loss of culture, and then we have quite a large Métis population in Dawson Creek as well, and Puskoopi. And so I know anywhere I've ever been, it is just a Treaty 8 acknowledgement. So while it would be great to find out exactly which land we could be acknowledging here, it could also just be a blanketed statement, which I know other organizations do use. The Peace River Regional District, you mentioned that do they acknowledge a specific land?
Do they, Barb?
They don't announce it, no.
You don't? Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. And I agree with all that discussion. I think, council passing a motion to send a letter to the Treaty 8 Tribal Association, demonstrates that respect, that we're interested in doing this, and we're really looking for your guidance, folks, on how we do it right. And something that's acceptable, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do, to show a sign of respect. So,
And reconciliation.
Yep.
Second.
All in favor? What is there? And the bylaw for the property in the commercial, is that underway, Sandy?
Nope.
Property?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, and then we were supposed to talk to the school district principal for what? Was that? That was December 31st?
Huh? It's December 31st.
Or that's the end target date. It was in February. And what were we?
Oh, that was for the sign and the boot room.
So where is our sign?
So the sign is at their Public Works Department, and I'm waiting for Wade Simlick to get back to me. He was away on holidays when Mr. Reedman called me. And, well, the boot room, obviously, you've got it back. And he was also gonna check on the coat room for us. I'll send him another email.
Okay, and how's the Peace Haven going? Chris?
Yep, not too bad, Your Worship. Kind of been checking on it
I drove by this morning.
once a week or so. Yeah, most of the staff
Looking
have,
pretty
just to see. They're definitely, they got piles sort of here, there, and everywhere. But I understand from the project manager, they were required to do that, to bring the material over to the landfill. So they're shipping it off as best we can
Enclosed
see.
containers?
Yeah, I did see them working on the excavator the other day, so I don't know if it broke down or not, but there's definitely action happening there. The work
They were
is-
moving stuff this morning.
Okay, so yeah, the work's definitely progressing.
Okay, anybody else see any other questions? On that?
The new zoning bylaw. That was something that I haven't really heard much about, actually. You could touch on that.
Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. I'd definitely speak to it. It's been underway for quite some time, Councillor Reed. Zoning bylaws are very, very complex. We had a couple of goals in proposing the zoning bylaw update to council for the 2021 budget. One of the main issues we had with the zoning bylaw was that the document was written in such a way that at the beginning of it, there was a section that said all of these rules apply to all the zones. And then the zones were subsequently listed after with the specific rules that applied to them. What we found over and over was happening was that residents were picking up the 60 or 70-page document or whatever it was, and index, yeah, I'm a C2. Flip by all the stuff that applies to everybody, go right to C2, and good, no problem. And then we run into issues with that whatever they were attempting to do there, and I'm speaking sort of theoretically, and I'd have to have a lot of conversations with those property owners to say, well, you just flip right back to the last 2 pages. Did you read the 20 pages of general conditions? Well, no. What general conditions? I'll start from the beginning. So that was one of the major things we were trying to address. We were also trying to address CCANs. And our residents are becoming increasingly creative with ways to sort of get CCANs onto their properties. And including putting a CCAN and buying a Canadian Tire tarp and putting it over top of it and a bunch of stuff.
And calling it a shed? Is that what's happening?
Well, and the zoning bylaw didn't prohibit the temporary shelters, but it prohibited sea-cans. Well, I don't want a temporary shelter, I want a sea-can, so I'm gonna buy a temporary shelter and cover over my sea-can, and well, you can't see the sea-can, so I'm technically legal, but good try.
And so this is taking a while because you're trying to find a way to compact all that into one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And because zoning is such a foundational document that governs some really specific stuff inside the village, it takes time to put that together, and it goes through rewrites and revisions, and I think we've had, 3-4 meetings with the consultants on that already, like an hour and a half, 2.5, or 2-hour marathon meetings of just throwing ideas back and forth. So we had one a couple of weeks ago. So the final draft is underway. It's likely going to carry into 2022. Part of the issue was that I was on leave and Sandy was on leave, so the interim CAO didn't know everything that we were hoping to accomplish in the document, so it got delayed a little bit. But most of the work has been done. So the carryover into 2022 now will actually be, the council's revision of what staff is proposing as the final document, and then going into all of the required steps to adopt a zoning bylaw. And those are legislative, so we've got to do notices and advertisements in newspapers and required community consultations and so on and so forth. So even once we have a document that council's comfortable with, we're looking at 3 or 4 months pretty much before you can even go from first reading to final reading on that, because it's got to go through the public for input and consultation by law. So zoning's, touching anything on zoning is not an easy undertaking. It's complex.
Okay, good.
And then just the Pooskookie walking trail, I was looking at that with our budget is going to be coming up pretty soon, so I wasn't sure if you guys had.
So the Pooskookie walking trail in the capital and special projects was deferred by council. It was.
We deferred that because of, we didn't know what we were gonna do. We were gonna put it down at the park, but then we got some stuff to do down at the park, so
Yeah.
we put it off.
Okay.
Anything else? CAO report, capital special projects. You didn't read your CAO report?
We went through it, Your Worship. If council has any questions, it's sort of is
Well,
what
I
it is.
have this one, this coursework is approximately 1.5 months, ending November, and it costs approximately $900.
Yeah.
When did you take it? Start taking it?
It's underway right now, Your Worship.
You just started taking it?
Yeah, I'm in the module 3 here, or week 3. So, and as I mentioned in the report, that was something that bubbled up in the context of the development procedures manual. We were asked, for purposes of the development procedure, who's the approving officer? I said, well,
Wouldn't that be Devin? Why?
no, Devin's the building inspector. So the building.
So who tells us that we have to have this approving officer?
The community charter.
The community charter does?
Yeah.
What section?
Yeah, I don't know off the top.
Can you bring this section back to
I can.
next,
Yep.
next council meeting?
Might be able to look it up here now. Hang on one second. So what the approving officer does is different than a building inspector. So a building inspector would approve a specific project. So I have a house, here's my plans. Can I build what I'm planning on building within the village according to building bylaw and building code? Yay or nay it, or amend it. The approving officer deals with zoning and land use issues. So it actually ties right into the zoning conversation we just had. If a resident comes to us and says, well, I've got a double lot in town, I'd like to subdivide it, can I speak to your approving officer? Sorry, can't subdivide it, we technically don't have one right now. So it's one of those things.
Barb?
I find that really stunned that we don't, an approving officer. The municipality has been going, and it was always the CAO that approved everything.
So you're not wrong, Councillor Smith. The issue is, and it's even strongly mentioned in the first 2 modules of the coursework, simply taking a CAO with no idea what the requirements, the legal obligations of an approving officer are, and saying, you're the guy, puts a whole bunch of legal onus on somebody who has no idea what to do.
So all this housing development that's been up in that subdivision, have we been sending that information off to the lawyer?
So
Or have you been just approving it?
Oh, I haven't been approving anything. All of those lots were approved before my time. And
Even those new houses that are going up?
so again, Your Worship, the houses and the lots are 2 separate things. The approving officer deals with the land. The building inspector deals with the structure. So the approving officer, so let's say West Poos, for example, right, our West Poos concept plan. If that were to take shape, technically speaking, right now, we don't have anybody, if we sold the lot under the water tower, that could say to a developer, okay, you want to take that 8 acres and subdivide it into 8 1-acre lots? Great, approved. Because council hasn't ever actually put forward a motion naming anybody. And like I said, this is just coming to me through this work. I've never done this before. You know, it's something that's new, and I'm trying to learn as best I can to plug that gap. But it is what it is.
So you're, put a motion on the floor that you're gonna bring back the clause in the community charter on this?
Yeah, rather than take council's time now, I can easily bring that back. So
May I have a second on that?
Thank you.
All in favor? Pardon me, Sandy?
So thank you.
Your Worship.
Chris?
Yeah, I've got one just on the capital and special projects. I'm gonna actually bring this back, if you guys are okay, the list to our old format where we had everything numbered and highlighted as to complete. Council will note that a lot of the items on the capital and special projects plan are complete, but it doesn't really jump out. But anyways, the item.
Can we just take them off when they're complete?
No, I like to show them that they're there just because it's part of the running list.
Or move them down if they're all complete and put all the ones up top?
Well, our old format was to just color code them differently, and that was really nice. It was easy to pick out. But in any event, that little bit aside, page 71, the crack sealing and asphalt patching. I received an email on Monday from the Director of Public Works that the paving company, the only paving company that had bid on those couple of little paving projects, is unable to do the work in 2022. So we've actually hit a wall in both of those projects. When we went out for the crack sealing quotes, we didn't get any respondents back to do the crack sealing. And when we went out for the paving, we got one company that did it, or that bid, and unfortunately they reached out to us on Monday and said due to other project delays on projects they have, they're not able to do our paving this year. So
we put that 100,000 away, and then we put another 100,000 in there. That's $200,000.
Yeah.
We should be able to do some pretty good paving.
we can. So and we've. I won't say we've run into that issue, Your Worship, because the company that we've used for the paving has always gotten us in under the wire before the weather makes it impossible, right? But Councillor Smith had raised this question in the governance session on September 29th. You know, why does it seem to be always so late for us? The issue we're running into is this company does multi-million-dollar paving projects for the ministry, for parking lots. And we're coming in and saying, we need you to pave 100 meters of road and we want it done for 30 grand. And well, yeah, okay. So to your point, you know, we might find better success with paving if we plan to bite off $200,000-300,000 of paving every 2-3 years, as opposed to trying to do these little projects every year. The other option is that, you know, for the crack sealing, I know some of the Peace Region municipalities, Tumble Ridge being one of them, does it internally. It's ugly, it's messy, but because it's, you know, same thing. They ran into issues that due to their location, they weren't getting anybody interested in coming in and doing the crack sealing. So we're unfortunately at the mercy of the business market there, and we're just really not a big fish player with dollars and job scope that's attractive to these companies. And
So I'll
similarly,
make the motion that the $100,000 gets put into the budget and we add another $100,000 in the February budget when we start doing the budget. Can I get a seconder on that?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Okay.
that was the only one from my side.
Sorry, I didn't want to second that one, just because I haven't sat through a budget yet. So I was like, well,
He can actually send you a copy of the budget.
yeah,
So you're aware of how much.
It's on the website.
yeah. Slowly, I'm getting there, just reading everything. If only you guys would just put this into a short film. Save me so much time.
Well, the irony of it is the version of the budget that's on the website is the short version, so.
Okay, point of order. Can I do counselors' calendars? So Marcel will be doing Remembrance Day?
And ask him, yeah. I can send him an email.
Pardon?
We can send him an email and
He's
ask
the
him.
acting mayor, so he should be doing Remembrance Day.
That was as a result of you're gonna be away, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody see anything? No? Okay. Reports, 3.1, Councillor Smith's report.
I have nothing to report, regional district tomorrow, but I do have a concern that the government, the NDP government, is going to restrict special needs services for our youth coming in 2023. That is going to include autism, Down syndrome, other special needs. It's not
Hearing.
here, it's just not acceptable. Like, they don't realize their motion to do this. The North is suffering here. We don't have enough nurses, we don't have enough medical, we don't have enough RCMP. And we can't drive to a hospital or get special care for our kids by going down the road 2 hours or an hour. And I would like a letter sent, this is totally unacceptable. We can't take any more cuts to our care of our residents. We just can't. We're doing without now. We just, special needs, we're up north.
Disability, anybody with a disability, it's a hard, with even them doing dialysis, driving to Fort St. John, you have to have a family member go off work to go with you, to go up to have dialysis, because right now the health bus is closed down. So why are we being treated like we're second-class citizens? The Dawson Creek Hospital should have a dialysis machine in it. People have to drive to Fort St. John for an MRI. Once again, weather's bad, you have to take the day off. When we have a perfectly good MRI clinic in the clinic, or in the hospital, or sorry, co-op,
Yeah.
that you have to, it's paid, you have to be paid. It's not paid by MSP, which is a joke, because the NDP government have 3 MRI clinics in Alberta that they pay our residents to attend in Alberta, but yet they won't put that one to be paid.
They're changing that the individual care of
People?
people is going to be one blanket check here, fight over it. That is totally unacceptable, and we can't. I'm a small little politician, but I'm telling you, we've got to put our voices out there and say enough's enough. Especially, you're talking about cutting our representation up in Northern BC to 1 rep, not 2. And now you're cutting another thing? And that's enough.
So what do you want to say in the letter after we both vented?
We'll just take everything that they just said and put it.
Condense it, please.
I was gonna say, is there any, you've obviously received some correspondence on that?
It's all over the media.
Okay.
I mean,
Is there anything, I hadn't actually seen that. Is there anything you
I
can?
will share stuff with you
Yeah.
at the end of the meeting.
Okay, so if you'd like to put a motion on the floor for a letter, and then if Sandy and I can reference something, you know, with some details about it, that would help us put the letter together for sure.
Okay.
I don't know, but there's 34 nurses don't have a job now.
I'll make that motion.
And you're second in it?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Anything else, Brooke?
No, I can't
Councillor-
answer enough.
You be it. Councillor Ebert?
No, I didn't attend anything.
You didn't.
No, I didn't. But I did want to bring up about COVID vaccines. And I'm a strong believer in just looking after yourself. But then I realized that there are impacts. And you're talking about the healthcare workers because they weren't vaccinated, that now that they're unemployed. Or
But they were
will
the
be.
heroes, they're heroes at the very beginning,
Yeah,
and now they're discarded like a piece of garbage.
yeah,
And the government wants us to be divided, and that's how they want to roll.
yeah. But we do have to say that COVID is having impact.
It is.
And it
But it wouldn't
impacts.
have such an impact if they didn't cut us money, cut it back. Mike Bernier was the Minister of Health when he first started being an MLA. Did he give any money to our hospital? Did he fight for our hospital? Really? No, not really. Not really. We would have had more upgrades, we would have had a hospital by now.
Yeah. The financial impact that COVID has even had on our village.
Peeps,
Mhm.
on people,
Yeah,
people that got laid off. There's quite a few of them.
well, even on the village office and village staff. And,
Well, they're lucky they still have a job. Right? There's lots of people that don't have jobs.
true, true. But I just want to put it out there that there's a community that's counting on us. And if it means getting vaccinated, would you please get vaccinated?
Is it fair for some of our staff that have been vaccinated have to work beside? Now, if we did COVID tests once a week, that's $200. So to keep us safe, is the village gonna pay for those COVID tests once a week for the people that are not vaccinated? Like, do we ask the taxpayers to pay that? Or do we ask our staff, if they don't want to be vaccinated, that they pay? I don't know, but we need to discuss, it's costing us money.
Costing the village money?
Yes.
How's it costing the village money?
When they close down,
When they close down?
because
How
our
did it
staff
cost-
is
How did
sick.
it cost us money when they closed down? We didn't have any staff here.
But we're still paying them at home,
They were sick.
and they're not providing the service
They
to
were
our
sick.
residents that come through the door.
They were sick. They were sick.
Well, I'm just
It
saying,
doesn't cost us anything. They were sick. They're on. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. You're correct in that. The net cost to the village, you know, was effectively zero because the sick days with the staff members who had them available. So for myself, I didn't have any available, so I was unpaid for those days, you know, or those portions of the days. I worked from home for a bunch of it. But the other staff, you know, when we do the budget every year, the budget includes the staff member's salary, the vacation, and the sick day entitlement. So that sick day entitlement is essentially paid whether the members use it or not. So to the mayor's point, you know, if somebody's at home on a you know, sick day within the allotment, there's no additional cost to the village. It's the same thing. So because the village commits to paying for those benefits up front, one way or the other.
Well,
I'm very upset to say that someone has passed away from COVID, and their dying wish was that people would get vaccinated. And that's the reason that I brought it up. It isn't just the dollar and cent amount, there are people dying.
Very well. Well said.
Danielle?
I think also too, there has been, you know, a member in our community that has been publicly battling this. You know, they have posts put on Facebook from his family. He's out of town. He's fighting for his life, literally. I am definitely one of those people who's always believed in choice. But I know that our community is being heavily affected right now by COVID, and that the anxiety within the community I've seen is really gone up, and that's in Pouce Coupe and Dawson Creek. There is that anxiety on both sides. People who feel that they're losing their freedoms and their rights have anxieties and mistrust within the government. And then there's people who are on the other side who feel that they're just being surrounded by an invisible enemy that they're unable to fight. And so there's that anxiety bit of it as well, especially for our members that are watching a very important member of our community fight currently. You know, I do believe it in choice, but I also hope that people look into those members within the community of Dawson Creek that have lost their lives, and the members within Dawson Creek and Pouce Coupe who are fighting for their lives, and not just make it about the government opinion or what side of that end you're standing on. Look into it yourself.
Right?
That's it.
You're done. You're done. Danielle?
All right. Well, I attended the library board meeting. I don't remember what day it was anymore. Hang on. I did go. And it was on October 21st. And poor Courtney was about to start getting things going again, but due to the new protocols up around here, she's had to shut everything back down. So we all discussed a few things. Some of the things that she has done there that I'm really impressed with is she's created an Indigenous literature section at the library. So that not only includes Indigenous content, but it actually includes Indigenous authors as well. So she's gone and created a section there. So if anybody's interested, I was in there 5 seconds and was already planning on taking out almost every book because there were some really, really interesting ones. Me and her actually ended up doing the online pumpkin carving contest, which got a lot of people onto our Facebook page. We had so much engagement. It was really, really nice. We had families reaching out to other family members to go on and like their kids' posts. And so due to the engagement caused by that, Courtney is actually looking at doing the same version but with Lego. So because we do still have quite a few children within our community that are being homeschooled. I know of about 12 of them. There's probably more that are still not returning to school. So this is another way for those at-home kids to kind of engage with the public without being in the public. So I'm really excited about that. So that's going to be happening. And yeah, she's slowly getting things going. I know COVID is really, as I said, she planned on getting a bunch of different things going. And just as she was pushing out those calendars, we were sort of getting our hands slapped by the government up here in the north, and then they shut everything in. So yeah. But my next library board meeting is November 18th, so I don't know if you want to add that to the calendar. I'll be attending that obviously as well. So.
And you're done?
Yeah. Thank you.
Marcel is not here tonight. I have just one thing to say. I'd like to thank the museum for putting on an awesome Halloween for all the kids and all the adults.
I know, this is just amazing. He's just absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And then Sandy, do we count stock for the community center this year? Did we count stock? Yeah, because there was some stuff missing.
Inventory.
Inventory.
No, I don't believe, we have not done it this year, but right now we don't have the staff to do it right now.
Okay. When this staff comes, would we be doing that then?
Yeah, we can do that by year end. Sure.
And then you'll let me know by year end?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Marlene?
Oh, in camera? Yep. That council moved to in camera as per section 91C, C, G, G, and G.
Of the community charter. 14.1 recommendation that council move into in camera as per section 91 C, C, G, G, and G.
That's all you have to read. Second?
Do we have to read it?
No, I'm shorten it up.
I'll second.
You make a motion to go in there. Is this one